Variety is reporting that Steven Spielberg is out for directing Indiana Jones 5 and James Mangold is in talks to replace him. So let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Share your take on this kind of mind-blowing piece of information that came out of the blue. What do you think about Spielberg leaving? What do you think about Mangold replacing him? And what do you think about the project in general with a Harrison Ford that's in his late 70s? With that said, let's dive into what we know about this. So the report itself doesn't give us a ton of information. It just tells us that Spielberg is leaving, and that Mangold is in talks to replace him. And then putting a little bit more context on some of this, during the press tour for The Call of the Wild, Harrison Ford said he started shooting in just a couple of months. So the star of the movie, as of the last few weeks, his impression is he's about to start making this movie. Production begins very soon. So this announcement very much kind of comes out of the blue and is a massive shock for a number of reasons. So let's dive into this part that Steven Spielberg is leaving. It doesn't seem that it's probably a creative decision type thing, because he's probably been thinking about this since he made the last one over 10 years ago. Back 5-ish years ago, there was talk about maybe doing a reboot when the acquisition happened with Disney, with Lucasfilm. I mean, there's been all sorts of discussion about this project. So the idea that at this point in time where they've already got a script, they're about to start production, that he chooses to leave, it seems like something has changed for him pretty suddenly that would cause him to leave in this manner at this point in time. And it probably was a very big decision. What could that be? Article doesn't have too much speculation. He has some projects coming up later, this West Side Story, that could interfere with some of this just a little bit. The news over the last month is that one of his daughters has started a career in porn, so maybe it's a personal type issue thing. He was like, all right, I probably should slow down, have some family time. But we don't really know exactly what's going on, that after almost 40 years with this franchise, or in the case of him, for working on it, it has been 40 years. And years of working, thinking about this specific film, he chooses to leave. That's very, very interesting and shocking, obviously, to state the obvious about it. So from there, what do I think about James Mangold stepping in for Steven Spielberg? He's not a lock. It's not confirmed. He is in talks. It might not happen. So to be clear, anyone says it's confirmed, not confirmed. But he is in talks. What do I think about that? I have, I got three different takes on it, three different hands. So on the one hand, the idea that James Mangold, one of the directors I've been very excited about for really about 10 years now, longer than that. Actually, I saw his movie Copland when I was first getting into movies in the theater, big Stallone fan, went to go see this new Stallone, kind of more serious film, less kind of cheesy action movie, serious crime drama. Really dug it. That was over 20 years ago. And then, of course, Walk the Line, 310 to Yuma, Logan, Ford vs. Ferrari, I think it was number one on my list for last year. So huge James Mangold win. What do I think about him taking over one of my favorite franchises? I just love the idea of what that could mean. It's weird because we're so far into production, so I don't know what that means. Are they going to delay a year? Are they going to delay 2 years? Are they starting over from scratch? Or are they still starting to look production in 2 months? I don't know. But if you told me back, right after Logan came out, hey, Mangold is going to do this movie, or if Spielberg hadn't been attached and he's doing an Indiana Jones movie, he's continuing this thing or rebooting this thing, I'd be like, man, I just want to see what that's going to look like. So on the one hand, James Mangold, Indiana Jones, two of my favorite things coming together, awesome. On the other hand, I have been very critical of the idea of Harrison Ford continuing to do Indiana Jones and doing an Indy 5 starring Harrison Ford for as long as they've been talking about it over the last few years. The simple fact of the matter that Harrison Ford was born in 1942. That means he's 77 right now. He's about to turn 78 some point in time this year. And the fantasy, the escapism of Indiana Jones is that you kind of have this man in his prime who's intelligent, handsome, adventurer, always in over his head and finds his way how to get out of it. And even part of it that he's battling Nazis. The fact that like the ultimate bad guys, he's battling them. We all hate them, so it's fun to watch him defeat them. And you can kill tons of them and you don't care about it because they're Nazis. And so that's the appeal, the hook of Indiana Jones. And so when he's now in his 70s and it's the 1970s, I don't know what that is. Like, who's the bad guy that he's? All the elements that make it magic kind of disappear when you detach it so much. And you saw even some of those problems with Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls, which had a number of different problems with it. Some of it was that at times you could tell Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, is not the guy that was in his prime that he was before, and they're trying to fake like he is. And the Soviets aren't quite as interesting as the Nazis, as he lost some elements. How much more so when you get to the 70s is some of that gone? So that's a problem. On the third hand, what if the pitch here is you've got James Mangold Loganizing Indiana Jones? So if it's that, maybe that's what the pitch is. Maybe the whole idea of this project is that it's this outside the box. Let's do something totally different and let James Mangold do his thing with Indiana Jones and Logan, this great deconstruction of heroes, examination of death, regret. That suddenly gets interesting to me because it's totally different and it's not trying to do what we did with the movies before. It's not trying to recapture that. And I just kind of assume if it's Spielberg, he's going to try and do his same bag of tricks again and those fast-moving roller coaster ride with Indiana Jones. Put James Mangold in there and suddenly I think it probably be something different, and I'm interested. So, 3 different takes on it. Mangold doing Indiana Jones sounds good. Harrison Ford, old, trying to do what he did before, bad. James Mangold, Loganizing Indiana Jones. You have my attention, and I could be interested in that. That's all speculation. That's not that. The article doesn't say that. But it has my attention and my curiosity. Tell me what you thought down below in the comments section on Mangold, on Spielberg leaving, and then what do you think about the project in general? And thank you so much for watching.